So, Dr. Fielding, thank you for joining us at the FPA.
My pleasure.
A wonderful panel at Concordia that you hosted. Really, talk about that panel that we just heard, such a dynamic group talking about food.
Yeah. What we wanted to do was get together some of the world's, leading. Yeah. What I wanted to do is get together some of the world's leading mind on food systems. People often talk about health, and they often talk about sustainability, but not the two together. And so how can we change the food systems for the future? And so we had great representation from WHO, World Resources Institute, also Dan Glickman, who was ex-Secretary of Agriculture of the United States. So we had great perspectives from private sector, public sector, and civil society.
Now, you're coming at it from not just the position at Upfield, but you're also coming from a nutritionist background. Talk about this. Is this a fad, another food fad, or are we really looking at something that's here to stay?
I don't believe we're looking at another food fad. I mean, we saw some articles come out just recently talking about the next generation and their interest in really eating more plant-based diets. So I don't think it's a fad. I think it's people, whether they're concerned about their health or whether they're concerned about sustainability of the planet, they're all coming at it at their own angles. So therefore, I don't think it is a fad. I think it's something that we'll continue to see, and to be honest, we need to see, for whether it's for health or sustainability reasons for people going forward. And as a nutritionist, we're always trying to get people to eat more plants, whether that's fruit and vegetables or other sources in the diet, and play a greater role in people's diets. So I think it's great to see that the next generation and people are beginning to embrace it more.
Now, I have friends who have said, I was a vegan, of course, but then I decided to have friends and be sociable. So what is the trick to finding this balance, and what do you recommend, especially coming from Upfield's perspective?
I think, look, some people are going to be interested in being vegan, and I think for some people being vegan is easier today than it has been before. But I think eating totally plant-based diet takes some knowledge as a consumer, because obviously eating a small proportion of meat or chicken or fish is a lot easier to get some of your dietary intake. But our problem is, especially in Western world, is it's too easy. And we have issues with NCDs or obesity, diabetes and the like. And so it's been too easy for us to eat those indulgent foods more often. And so a reset to more plant-based diets is important. But people need to have some knowledge. And so in order for plant-based diets to be successful, I think what we should be encouraging is eating from home, eating more traditional, more territorial foods. So we have a diverse plant diets because we tend to focus on monocultures today. And eating a diversity is really important, and you can do that if you can, go to your local farmers market or go to your local store and make sure you try a new plant food that you haven't tried before. Yeah.
The other issue, of course, with sustainable diets is looking at creative ways of going at the old agro business, and so much of that pressure is on with the 17 SDGs and the 2030 agenda. How is this really a critical aspect of moving that agenda forward and meeting those goals?
I think it's absolutely important because we set up food pyramids in the past, but what we didn't do is we didn't align our agricultural practices, etc., with that recommendation on a healthy diet and a healthy food system. And we're sort of incentivizing, in some places, some of the wrong things. And so we need to have a re-look at that and redress the balance. And farming and people who work in those industries, it's a tough industry to be in, and they deserve our support. And so for those who are looking to transition to different sectors, etc., we should be providing the economic resources for them to do that. And it's a term that you often hear called just transition, but I think that's really important for the agricultural food sector. Yeah.
Now, one of the great things about the panel, of course, is you had a combination of people, different focuses, and what kept coming around is both a conversation about the consumer, but also about policymakers or politicians. Talk about finding that balance, especially from Upfield's perspective.
I think from Upfield's perspective, we see that all stakeholders have their own role to play, including consumers, in choosing the diets that they want for the future for themselves, but also for their families as well, whether that's from a health or sustainability perspective. But it's harder for consumers to make really good food choices if we don't have the right policies in place to help them do that. And I think that's where policy, we need to really look at it. As I said earlier, I think we're incentivising in some cases the wrong things, and we need to readdress that balance and say, actually, do all the policies I have in place meet the pyramid that I'm sharing with consumers at a local level? So we really need to ask ourselves those questions. Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us today at the FBA.
Thank you.
Cheers.
I appreciate it.